There's a tendency in the audience not to ask questions. My judges have to ask more questions. But if you all have questions, it helps my presenters really showcase more what they know and what's class. You guys have everything to say. We're going to lead off Ms. KParshall today. Ms. Parshall is a leader of Flying Pride, and she's a member of, so I'd like to ask you here. Those who enjoy being involved.
Welcome judges, fellow classmates, friends, and family. I'm KParshall, and my Governor School senior project surrounded the care of animals at a veterinary and a community level. One of the main reasons I decided to study veterinary medicine in this project was because of my love for my 3 family dogs, Oakley, Paisley, and Brody. Coming into this project, I knew that my goal would be to see if I had an interest in veterinary medicine, but it quickly turned into more than that. After I contacted the Central Virginia Veterinary Clinic, I began my internship under Dr. Baker and Miss Barbie and the other staff of the clinic in September of 2019. Dr. Baker is a primary veterinarian at the clinic. She graduated from the University of and has been practicing for over 20 years. During my time at the clinic, I learned a lot about how to interact with animals and their owners. I got very used to Dr. Baker's routine of setting up the exam rooms, conducting the exams, performing different tests, reading the results, and then coming up with a diagnosis and a treatment plan. Two of the most interesting procedures I was able to observe during my time at the clinic was a laser therapy treatment of a dog and a spay of a kitten. This picture shows the dog whom Dr. Baker performed laser therapy on. This dog is very allergic to different things around its house and outside, and Dr. Baker has given it different medicines and treatments to try and pinpoint exactly what it is, but she has not been able to. So the dog will continue to scratch and these sore spots form on its joints. So the only thing Dr. Baker can really do is give it laser therapy treatments periodically to help quicken up the healing process and to help relieve the dog's pain. Overall, my time at the clinic really helped me understand more about veterinary medicine and what goes into examining, testing, diagnosing, and treating the different animals. During my time at the clinic, I talked to Dr. Baker a lot about the different animal-related needs in the community, and she stated that there's a lot of need for adoption and spaying and neutering, as our county has a large stray population. So I decided to go to the animal shelter to see if there was anything I could do to help. After talking with my community service mentors, Beth and Diane, who play a key part in managing the animal shelter, we came up with the idea of a Halloween-themed adoption event. As the event approached, I began contacting different animal organizations for volunteers. I planned the details of the event, I collected donations and materials, and I advertised around the community. The event took place on November 2nd, 2019, and I think it was a success. There were about 75 community members who attended. There are 6 total adoptions, 4 cat and 2 dog adoptions. On an average Saturday, the shelter can have anywhere from 0 to 5 adoptions, depending on who decides to come into the animal shelter that day and who's looking to adopt. This portion really opened my eyes to how many animals are in need around the community and what I could do to help. So I decided to write an article about the importance of adoption and spaying and neutering. I teamed up with the Lion's Roar, which is a high school's newspaper staff, to write an article about what high school students can do to help ameliorate the issue. The article shows why there's such a large need for adoption and what high school students can do. They can do anything from talking to their parents about adopting a new pet instead of buying a new pet, or getting their pets spayed and neutered to help reduce unwanted litters. My research kind of had the same goal in that I wanted to bring awareness to another issue in animal care. Research conducted on animals has been a controversial debate for centuries, but I decided to attack the complex issue in my synthesis research paper. More specifically, I looked at what are the ethical principles and laws that limit scientists and animal research, and are they effective? And I also looked at what are the potential alternatives to animal testing. I found that scientists are rarely restricted in their practice, and that the ethical principles and legislation all over the world really are not effective. First, I looked at ethical principles, mainly the 3 R principles, which are reduction, refinement, and replacement, and how they often contradict themselves and really do not provide an effective framework for scientists when they're designing experiments. Next, I looked at the ethical framework, Utilitarianism, which provides the basis for legislation in the United States. This is unethical as it states that any benefit to even one human justifies testing on any number of animals. I think that humans have a superiority over animals, so I believe that any small chance of human benefit justifies testing on animals. Finally, I looked at the Animal Welfare Act, which does not provide proper protection for animals. One major criticism is that it does not cover 95% of the animals used in testing. These numbers on the screen show the number of animals used in 1 year in testing in the United States. As you can see, mice is clearly the highest with 2.6 million, and these are one of the animals not covered under the Welfare Act. Another criticism is that it's pain control. An experiment is allowed or legal if the animal is sedated during the experiment and does not feel pain during it, and then afterwards, if it faces a permanent debilitation or permanent pain, it is put down after results are obtained. Recently, the EPA has realized that animal testing in the United States is an issue. So in September of 2019, they released a memo declaring that they're going to cut test funding by 30% by 2025 and completely eliminate it by 2035. In doing this, they have looked to develop new approach methods, which they claim to be more reliable alternatives to animal testing. They've granted $4.5 million to five different institutions across the United States in order to develop these. This is an example of an alternative that has been developed by years of research. This is called a human organ chip, and it looks to mimic the human blood flow and breathing patterns. The researchers can then place the organ chip into a research system, which helps create a molecular and cellular environment that mimics human organ function, and they can also look at it to mimic interactions between different organs. The scientists can then apply different toxins and chemicals or medicines to it and see how the organs will react as a result or interact as a result. No one really knows if this initiative is going to work, but we'd also look for shifts away from animal testing in the future. I think this quote really explains all that I tried to accomplish in my senior project, and I think we should all live in a way that embodies this quote. This quote definitely has the strongest connection to my research, and that finding a cure for a really terrible disease that affects humans totally justifies animal testing, but using inhumane practices or causing unnecessary pain to animals is wrong. From starting my internship to turning in my research paper, I really grew as a person. Not only did I sharpen my communication and organization skills, but I learned so much about me. I realized that I have so much to learn about different issues around the community that I never even really thought about before, and I want to take action. I hope to one day work in my community and have the same invaluable impact as my mentors have over their careers. I encourage future governor school students to pick a topic that will challenge them, and they hopefully will have the same result with hard work. After graduation, I plan on attending one of these many four-year universities to major in biology with the concentration in pre-medicine. I hope to continue on to get my doctorate of medicine. Although I enjoyed exploring veterinary medicine and all it entails, I've decided that I would like to work in the community with children as a pediatrician. I'd like to thank my mom and my siblings for all their patience in this project. I would also like to thank the judges for being here today and listening to what I've done to make this project unique for me. Finally, I would like to thank Mrs. King and the class of 2020 for all their hard work they've put into this project. Thank you. Are there any questions? Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. I think right now it's limited to certain organs. Like I think the main one was like kidneys, and they can apply different medicines and stuff to it to see how the organ will react. Yes. I feel like there is because, well, to develop one human organ chip, it is $2 billion, whereas testing or animal testing for a whole year is $12 to $14 billion. So there definitely is a price factor when looking at developing new alternatives. Billion. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I believe it can be reused as it can be placed into a research system or like a computer, and then that is what creates like the environment where they can see how the organ will react. Yes. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure because I feel like animal testing now really does not mimic exactly what the response is in humans. So there has been human trials anyway. So I think developing these new alternatives I think they'll be more reliable than animal testing in that they provide more accurate results. So maybe there might still be the same amount of human trials, but the medicine might be more effective, or they might be able to see like more accurate results. So like a certain medicine that doesn't work this way won't have to be tested on humans. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure. I think what the research I looked at was just the National Institute of Health. So it costs them 12 billion to 14 billion per year. A lot. It depends on different companies or who decides to develop them.